Hi, my name is Mike. I'm a reserve officer in the German Army. I have a master's degree in psychology and used to work as a private security contractor in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Africa. I used to own CrossFit Assault, which was one of the first CrossFit gyms in Germany, and was certified as the first German level 3 trainer. I founded Project Archangel, where I'm sharing my knowledge and experience in order to support others that have chosen to follow the way of the warrior. I teamed up with 𝗪𝗵𝗄 in order to bring you a comprehensive overview of what selection is about. Throughout this series, we will talk about the mental and physical aspects of preparation and how to maximize your chances of making the cut. This is 𝗪𝗵𝗄 Pro's Guide to Special Forces Assessment and Selection. Selection starts long before it actually starts. It begins with you trying to get as much information about what to expect so you can properly prepare for it. Selection is all about meeting the standard. But what does meeting the standard actually mean? So meeting the standard is pretty much divided into 3 separate components. One is teachability, one is durability, and one is suitability. Teachability basically means, do you listen to other people? Can you acquire new skills quickly? And can you apply them? Durability is about being able to carry your own weight. Now that again has 2 aspects. One is the physical aspect. Obviously, you have to be able to pass certain physical standards. You're expected to be able to carry your own body, your gear, some extra gear, probably an injured teammate, and on top of that, his gear. The second part is that you're not only expected to do that when you're in good shape and everything is happy-go-lucky, but especially when the shit hits the fan, you're cold, wet, and hungry, and somebody's shooting at you. The suitability part is basically a character check. Okay? They want to know, would you be able to integrate into an existing team smoothly? And also, there probably is a peer review where they ask your teammates whether they would want you in a team or not. So information can come from 2 channels. One channel is the official information, and the other channel is the unofficial information. The first thing you can find out using official information is the physical fitness standard. You will learn if it's the usual suspects like pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, run, or a completely different animal, because those physical fitness standards are different for every unit. So for example, the physical standard for the Ranger Assessment and Selection Program is 58 push-ups in 2 minutes, 69 sit-ups in 2 minutes, 6 pull-ups in 2 minutes, and then a 5-mile run in less than 40 minutes. Compared to that, the US Air Force Special Warfare Program requires you to do 40 push-ups in 2 minutes, 50 sit-ups in 2 minutes, 8 pull-ups in 2 minutes, a 1.5-mile run in less than 10 minutes and 20 seconds, but it adds 2 swimming events. The first swimming event is a 25-meter dive where you get a 3-minute rest and have to do a second 25-meter dive. Finally, there's a 500-meter swim in under 15 minutes. So you can already see that there's a difference whether you are a good swimmer or not, depending on what program you're going to, and this will affect the training you will have to do beforehand. Talking about different animals, let's choose the Marines. Specifically, the Recon Marines Physical Standards Assessment. So in that assessment, they have to actually lift a model of a Mark 19 automatic grenade launcher, which weighs about 33 kilos from ground to overhead. Okay? So it probably makes sense to prepare for some other stuff than just push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups. Especially because that's more like the things that you will actually use if you pass selection. But remember, those physical standards are minimum standards. And you don't want to show up anywhere being prepared for the minimum standard. First of all, the minimum standard barely guarantees you that you get into the actual selection process. It does not help you to actually pass selection if you barely can pass the minimum standard. On top of that, if you're barely ready to pass the minimum standards on a good day, I can guarantee you selection is not going to be a good day for you. So besides all the objective evaluations that you have to pass, meaning all the stuff where there are certain numbers and times written down, there's also the subjective evaluation, which is pretty much a character test. So what you always start off with is the first impression that you leave. And scientific studies have proven that people form an opinion on your first impression within less than a second. The one thing you absolutely have to make sure is that you're on time, because being on time doesn't require any talent or skill. So what do I mean by being punctual? You always have to plan for things to go wrong, okay? Meaning, if you are 5 minutes late because of traffic, it means you didn't plan for traffic. So it's your fault, not the traffic's fault. If someone looks at you, will he be able to tell that you have put a lot of effort into your preparation? So do you look like you're going to the most important appointment in your whole life? Is your haircut okay? What does your uniform look like? Do you know where you're supposed to go? Do you have all your paperwork? And do you know anything about the unit's history? Another important point is, do you share the same humor and values as the old guys that are already on the team? Another aspect is your attitude, especially your behavior under adversity, because selection is designed in a way to break you down, to expose your innermost attitudes and character flaws. Do you see problems as just annoying, or do you see them as challenges with an opportunity for character growth? Do you pay attention to details? What I mean is, do you pay attention to all details? Because there's no such thing as unimportant details. On a mission, some things that you may judge to be unimportant may turn out to be extremely important later on. Now, if you didn't remember those details because you didn't care to look for them, you're missing a big thing. Do you take responsibility for your fuck-ups? Because everyone makes mistakes, you just have to own them. Because if you don't accept that you made a mistake, there's no way that you can change and implement strategies that the same mistake doesn't happen again. Are you a guy that pulls other people up, or are you a guy that pulls other people down? What I mean is, if you and your team are in a shitty situation, are you the guy that cracks a joke and smiles to pull the other guys up and motivate them? Or are you a guy that just bitches about the situation? Are you a problem solver? People are either looking for solutions or they're talking about problems. Another thing that you're going to face is the psychological evaluation. Now, this thing is done by psychologists. The best advice that I can give you is to definitely think for a couple seconds before you answer. I would advise you to absolutely tell the truth. Because the one thing they're good at is catching you at a lie, and they will try to catch you at a lie. And if they do, you're pretty much gone. And my final advice is try to keep your composure, because that's another thing that they will try to do. They will try to get you to either get angry or to argue with them. But you have nothing to win and everything to lose. So just stay cool and stay relaxed. Let's talk about what kind of inside information you can get and where to get it from. The first source is people that have already gone through the selection process. Now, with some units, you will not find people that have recently gone through the selection process, because they will be deployed at their units doing training, all kinds of things, so you don't have access to those people. However, if you manage to find someone who recently went through selection, ask him about how they did prepare, and then ask him about what they would have changed if they could go again and change stuff in their preparation. So what worked for them, what didn't work for them, what would they spend more time on or less time on. Obviously, the best thing would be to talk to people that are actually on the team and ask them for advice they can give you for your preparation and for selection itself. Because these guys, if they like you, they will want you to succeed, okay? They're not trying to keep people out of the unit, they're actually trying to get people into the unit, but the right people. So if you know someone who thinks you're a good fit, he can probably hook you up with someone inside the unit so you can have a chat. Nowadays, there are a whole lot of books and podcasts out there where people that used to be in special operations talk about their life, the selection process, and all kinds of other interesting things about the units. So definitely make sure you get as much information from those sources as well. So let's talk a little bit about what kind of challenges you will encounter during selection. One of them will be teamwork. When you're working as a team, you will either be a leader or a follower, and you have to be good as both of those. When you're picked to be the leader, your job is not to pick up everybody else's slack and carry all the stuff that no one else wants to carry. Your job is to distribute the tasks so the workload is shared equally. You have to rotate people through, get the slowest people to the front, make sure you're not losing anyone or anything, and in general, keep everybody motivated and ready to go. You will be put under extreme stress, but nobody will expect miracles from you. They basically want to see, are you still able to function and do the basics? Don't forget that the needs of the team always come first. So when you're done with your job, it's always team first, then team gear, then your gear, then you. Thinking about how you can help your teammates will prevent you from feeling sorry for yourself. So be an asset to your team and think ahead. You're absolutely going to carry heavy loads for distance. So remember, that is not a sprint, it's more like a marathon. So rotate people, share the load, and make sure nobody gets injured. Running. Yes, there will be running. Loads of it, all the time. So get used to be running all the time and everywhere. Because you will be outside and playing with your friends all the time, there will be plenty of environmental challenges as well. So I'm talking about cold, heat, snow, rain, wet stuff, exhaustion, hunger. So I would highly advise you to get comfortable being uncomfortable during all these situations and practice that during your training phase. The stress and exhaustion during selection will also increase the chance of you getting sick. So make sure you take enough vitamins and minerals and keep a positive mindset, because a positive mindset will improve your immune system as well. Now let's talk about what kind of techniques you can actually use to affect your mindset in a positive way. So the most important thing is your why. Your why is the reason why you actually want to join a special operations unit and go to selection. The why will be different for everybody. So it's a very personal thing. And you should really put a lot of thought into that and find out for yourself why you're doing this. If it's just for the badge and the beret and the cool guy non-haircut and being able to put your hands in your pockets, you probably don't have a lot of reason to be there. If, however, your why comes from deep within and is very personal to you, and I can't tell you what that is going to be, but you have to find that out for yourself, you will be basically unstoppable. For you, quitting will pretty much not be an option. It's non-negotiable. Your body will break before your spirit breaks. So if you have the ability to tell yourself that quitting is not an option and that finishing selection is non-negotiable, you will be on the same level as someone who has a very strong why. You have to realize that pain is temporary and quitting is forever. That means that pain is just connected to a stimulus and will go away as soon as that stimulus is taken away. But if you quit, that will stick with you for the rest of your life and you will have to live with it. You will have to live with the fact that you chose to get out of an uncomfortable situation and gave up your dream. When people talk about goal setting, they usually have an end goal in mind, and your end goal is most likely going to be to pass selection. However, there are two other things that are much more relevant for you during selection. One of them is micro goals. So when I say micro goals, that could be as much as take another step. It could also be like, let's just pass this one evolution. So you're not gonna quit, you're gonna quit tomorrow. Find little goals that you can actually achieve, because if you put one of those little goals after another, suddenly you will be at the end goal. You also want to start to count your wins, because a lot of things go against you during selection. You have to find the little successes and just keep counting the little things, so that it doesn't look to you like you're constantly losing and you're constantly on the wrong side of everything. Another good tool is visualization. If you see yourself as already having passed selection, it will help you to actually pass it. And a lot of people who have passed selection have written or talked about how they use that technique. Another way to use visualization is, for example, as a kind of mental training. Imagine yourself having to go through an obstacle course and you have a hard time with it and you're afraid you're going to fail it again. What you can do is mentally see yourself navigating all those obstacles and successfully completing each one. Because your body cannot tell the difference of you actually performing an action and just imagining that action, it works just as well as regular training. One massive problem is negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is when your ego is trying to convince your higher self to quit. So therefore, it's very important to interrupt those negative patterns immediately. You can, for example, just tell yourself, are you a little bitch or not? It works for me. You could also react with positive self-talk. Basically, you tell yourself that you got this, it's an easy day, you will do it, you're still in the fight. That will all interrupt the negative patterns. It is also very helpful to figure out some strong core beliefs. So for example, if one of your core beliefs is that life happens for you, not against you, and it gives you a chance to grow if it throws problems at you, then you have a whole different view of certain situations. There's also the option to pick something like a mantra. A mantra is a short sentence, but it could also be like a prayer or a poem that speaks to you. And you would use that to recite it over and over and over. Because as long as your mind is busy reciting that mantra, it will prevent it from worrying about the situation or actually feeling the pain. A mantra can also affect you on a subconscious level, but in order to do so, it needs to be programmed. That basically means that you have to have used it before in similar situations successfully. So that's why it's important to not just basically listen to what I tell you, but put it in practice and train these things in difficult situations. You can actually use posture to influence your emotions. Imitating a feeling through posture and facial expressions will trick your body into associating that posture with that emotion, and it will react with a hormonal release. So for example, a confident posture, shoulders back, chest out, head high, will be associated with a positive feeling, and your body will react by secreting serotonin and adrenaline. On the other hand, a broken posture, rounded back, shoulders slumping, looking to the ground, will be associated by your body with defeat, and he will release cortisol. We usually tend to associate pain with something negative, but you could also tell yourself that pain is something positive, because obviously you're still alive. You may also want to look into meditation techniques. There are many different meditation techniques out there. Pick the one that you like the best. What you're trying to achieve is you're trying to calm yourself down, quiet everything down so that you get a better access to your subconscious. You get some time to really think about what do you want and so on. This is very helpful if you're trying, for example, to find your why. It also helps with regeneration, lowers your heart rate, and affects your hormones in a positive way. When you are in a bad situation, reframing may be another technique that is helpful for you. A reframing technique basically means that you're trying to look at the situation from a different angle. If you get angry, you will release adrenaline, it will give you more energy, it will dull the pain, and it will give you more focus. So that will probably help you to somehow get through that situation. Opposite to that, you could just decide to enjoy the ride. You know, just embrace the suck, fuck it. You could also look at it from the angle that adversity introduces a man to himself and helps his character grow. Obviously, it helps when you show up to selection with a high level of self-confidence. But how do you get self-confidence? You need to challenge yourself to build confidence. The best way to challenge yourself is to do things that you're afraid of or that you hate. So for example, if you hate being cold and wet, especially if you expect selection to have some aspects of coldness and wetness, you might want to look out for certain events where you get introduced to those elements. My personal favorite, ice bath. Don't forget, during selection, you're not by yourself. You're usually in a team. So lean on that team during hard times and let them help you. Of course, the other option is that you are trying to help your other team members, and by doing that, forget about the pain and the suffering that you have to endure yourself. But the most important thing of all is just don't fucking quit. You have to understand that they will try to get you to quit. One thing you have to realize is that there are a lot of risk mitigating protocols put in place behind the scenes. Okay, everything is done so that nobody actually dies. You're not getting out that easy. My coach once said, you'll pass out before you die. And when you pass out, there will be people that pull you out and you wake up in medical. But one thing that the cadre will try to do is they will try to get you to quit by any means possible. So they may tell you that you're not good enough, you're not meeting the standard, you're not fit enough to make it all the way through. Why do you want to do this to you? Why don't you quit right now? But unless they actually drop you, you're still in. And you're in for a reason. Because they have not had a reason to actually drop you. And the only one who can take you out of selection at that point is yourself. So as long as you don't fucking quit, you're still in it.